Do you want to end the poll just before we?
Hello there. Welcome to Tugging Cash. Thanks for tuning in. So we have another set of exciting tournament games today from the Wingspan Open. And joining me for commentating today, we have Flan from Winging It. How are you doing, Flan?
Hello, I'm doing very well. Looking forward to this. It has been a little while, I think, since the last stream. So yeah, should be a good set of matches here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know we already have some delay because of technical difficulty. I think we're just gonna go ahead and get started. So, either Ethmah or Middlife, please go ahead and start the game.
Yeah, I think Ethmah's going to be sending out random invite, so we will see who's going to go first once they get into the game. So yeah, best of luck to both players.
Yep,
Should be a good one.
yep. Best of luck. And yeah, I think this is gonna be a pretty good match. Middlife just recently won a tournament for um,
Mm,
right, the newbie
yeah,
tournament. So. And Ethmah also got one tournament under their belt, so it's a pretty
exactly.
equal
Two,
match.
yeah, two previous winners of tournaments. So absolutely some real wingspan pedigree on display.
Yep. All right, what do we have here? What do you think?
Pretty pretty good start. I think that's a fairly easy pick. Certainly, you want that strong forest and strong wetland bird, and you kind of got both of those there. I guess the real question is, do you keep a third bird from that starting hand? Something like the quail, just to get your grasslands started. But certainly a really nice start for both the forest and the wetlands there, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Like the sapsucker and the mere gangster is pretty obvious pick here. I am tempted to pick up the quill too. Especially if I'm seeing right, it's the second end of round go groundness.
It is, yeah. So certainly, yeah, with all those 6 egg spaces, that's going to be a real nice head start on that end of round goal.
Yeah, so it's really not a bad idea just to keep it in hand. And I think I've mentioned this a couple of times when, like, for example, in this situation, it's really not bad to keep that quill because if you don't need that
Mm.
quill, you can always exchange it for food because you're guaranteed to have one bird in the forest already.
Yeah, and I don't think, I think sometimes when you have a situation like this and you do keep that extra bird, it can sort of slow down your tempo because you're missing out on food. But actually, with the sapsucker, you can easily get 2 food a turn. So I don't think it would have slowed them down too much. But equally, I can't really blame them for just going for those 2 safe birds. And yeah, they might get something better from the deck.
Right. All right. Looks like a pretty wetland heavy hand here.
Yeah, yeah, but good options, and I like the purple martin. We always
Always.
say, yeah, these kind of tuck and draw birds, get one of those in your grasslands, and you're pretty much set. So yeah, I feel like probably the only real struggle is that if the martin and the sandpiper are probably the 2 obvious keeps, but
Mm-hmm.
you can only take 1 worm, and there's none in the feeder, which is a bit of a shame. And yeah, no real forest, but there's a couple of decent options in the tray that I think Ethma might look at.
Yeah, I think the 2 predator in the tray is probably gonna help them out. I mean,
Definitely.
yeah, I'm not hating the willet here because, like you say, you need 2 grub to play the spotted sandpiper and the martin. So willet is a compromise.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I might still look at keeping the sandpiper just because it is such a strong bird, but it will be difficult. So I think, yeah, I think Martin Willett and the 3 food. It's smart keeping that rodent. You keep your options open. Either of those predator forest birds in the tray are going to be nice, and you can easily get bird down in each habitat. And yeah, good access to all resources really, and certainly that Martin is going to be really strong as the game goes on.
Yeah. Wow, look like okay. I mean, yeah, with all things considered, I would say both hands are pretty equal here. No one really have like a
Uh,
definite stronger hand.
Yeah, I think the early game potential of Midlife's hand is probably stronger, just
Mm-hmm.
because they're able to get extra cards. They'll be seeing more cards per turn, and
Yeah.
also getting that extra food as well through the sapsucker is going to be really nice. But really, I think that Martin is going to get stronger as the game goes on, and certainly, these are the kind of birds that can really change a game. So yeah, I think as long as Ethmah can kind of keep close, that Martin is going to really, yeah, be strong for them throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think that Martin is gonna made up for what they're lacking in the forest because, like you
Yeah.
say, the long-term value of the Martin is just gonna be so good.
Yeah. So I think looking at what they've kept, would you maybe be looking at leaving the Martin for now? I think certainly they could maybe take a fish from the feeder and then get the Willet and the Sandpiper down and maybe start drawing some cards because I think certainly with a weaker forest, they're going to need more cards to start um, being able to discard. But maybe one of these is going to get tucked, and that's going to be their way of picking up the forest bird in the tray.
Yeah, I mean, I like this. This
Mm,
this is actually pretty smart. So you get yourself some eggs, and then you get the tuck, and then you pick up
absolutely.
the forest bird that you need. I think this is very smart.
Yeah. And which do you think they'll tuck? Do you think they'll go for the sandpiper, knowing that the fish is there already in the feeder to get that willet down really easily?
I don't know what they would do, but for me, I would tuck the sandpiper. Just I'm always all about the tempo, so I just
Yeah.
like having the willet down and
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the play I would look to do, just because, like you say, you can get that wetland bird down that little bit sooner.
mm-hmm.
And the sandpiper is obviously good because it's going to give you more cards, but it's going to give your opponent more cards as well, and that's always something you've got to be a little bit wary of early in the game, especially.
Yeah, the opportunity cost there. Um, I guess it's interesting. Was it for the platform nest for third round?
I think so, and
Okay.
generally, yeah, I think the owl might look more tempting because it's worth an extra point, but certainly I think even after just a few activations, that hawk, you're going to expect more points from that. So I think that makes sense. And like you say, it's got the platform nest for that third end of round goal, so that's probably the one I would have gone for out of the two.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice. All right. While we have a little bit of time here, I don't really want to start a debate, but we know that Midlife is gonna play a mer gangster soon, and we've discussed this before. So
I know what you're going to ask.
can we talk about the difference between laying eggs and draw cards, or draw a card without laying eggs with a bird like mer gangster?
I mean, for me, I don't think you need to be laying eggs. I think with that Merganser down, you're already seeing enough cards. I think ordinarily, something like the Willet, what we're going to see is once Ethmah gets that down, if you draw cards 3 times, you're only seeing 3 cards. If you lay eggs and then spend 2 turns drawing cards, discarding, you get 4. So that's going to make sense and get you more, cards to see that way. But with the Merganser, I don't think you really need to do that. And I think certainly being able to get the cards earlier makes more time for being able to make that better decision.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I have always been the school where I lay eggs before I draw a card, even with birds like mer gangster or the greep that let you draw 2 and discard 1. I mean, recently I have been experimenting with what you just described, like drawing cards without laying eggs. I still haven't made up my mind yet, so I'm curious what does the chat thinks. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I think both are acceptable. Like I say, the kind of the standard school of thought is to lay eggs first, just to at least give you that option of being able to see more cards. And I think, in midlife situation we're going to see now, they have to lay eggs anyway to get that Screech Owl down.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll play the Screech Owl, they'll have 1 egg left, and they can discard that the next time. So I don't think it's made too much of a difference here. But
Yeah.
yeah, generally the school of thought would be to lay eggs, but I think you can get away with it with something like the Merganser.
Yeah. I didn't notice that usually in round 1, if you just lay egg once, you always run into a situation where you are just like, missing that 1 egg to like make your setup really
Yeah,
smooth. So I can see that saving that 1 egg for playing bird would be better than
definitely.
using it to draw a card. since you already see more card and draw more cards with the Mergangster.
Yeah, and I mean, in Ethma's situation, this has kind of been picked up in the chat as well. Just with the whole way they've managed to set this up, the kind of tempo of things, they've not had to kind of spend that turn laying eggs just for the sake of it. We already saw earlier they laid eggs to activate the Martin and get the tuck and draw that Cooper's Hawk. So now when they go for cards, they've already got that egg and they can discard. And yeah, like we said, it just means you can get access to more cards. And I think when you have something like the Martin in your grasslands, you want to just be drawing as many cards as possible so that then when you cycle through, you're just giving yourself more options to tuck cards and hopefully find something good.
Yeah, I agree. So, well, we are almost at the end of round one. What do you think? Like, comparing the two board, do you have a preference?
I think it's pretty even. I think it's like what I said before. Obviously Midlife has got better access to cards and food. They're getting 3 food a turn now. With the Screech Owl down, Ethma's still kind of stuck on just 1 or 2. Really, it's kind of, as lots of these games are going to depend on the second round tray. I think if Ethmah can get another good grassland bird to go alongside that Martin, you're looking for a crow or a phoebe or one of these food generating birds. That's going to be the key for them. But I think both of these setups are really nice, and yeah, they both managed to keep their options open, I think, for whatever might come in that second round.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. In game like this, the second round tray is always so important. I mean, not gonna lie, like looking at what I'm seeing here, I'm kind of leaning towards Midlife board a little bit because of the food generation. The Martin is nice because yeah, you tuck and draw and generate points, but having just one bird in the forest, if you don't
Yep.
get a food producing bird, oh look at that. They
That's a
just
nice
got
pull. Yeah, that's exactly
yeah,
what
that's
Ethma's
exactly
needing, I
what they
think.
need. So yeah, that solves all the problem. Otherwise, with just a hawk in the forest, you're gonna struggle for food for a long time.
Yeah, I think my kind of general rule of thumb for a forest is once I can get to that 3 food level. So we already see with Midlife, they've got those 2 birds in the forest, so they already get 2 food, and then the sapsucker's going to give them that 3rd one. So I think when you can reliably get 3 food, that's when you're kind of set. And yeah, with this red start, the food's already there in the bird feeder. So easy for Ethmah to go and grab that. I'd imagine they'd be looking to discard one of those birds to get those 2 food. And yeah, that once they're at that 3 food generation, that's going to put them in a strong position.
Yep, yeah, the red start is so nice here. Yeah, I mean, I have many games. That's what happened. When you have one bear in the forest, you have tuck and draw is nice in the grassland, but then if you need to exchange that extra card for food, you're just always
Yep.
finding yourself like lagging cards. It's really slowing down the game.
Yeah, I think really, like you said, I think Midlife with that really nice kind of food and card generation, it's all going to depend on what they can get in the grass. And so that sparrow is nice that they've drawn. Interesting that they are looking at that woodpecker as well. Probably not something I would have gone for, but they might be able to make it work. Really, I think it's key to get something in that grasslands. We see all of these remaining end of round goals are egg related. So you kind of need to get those birds down so that you're not laying eggs just for the sake of it. You're actually generating points or resources and able to make the most out of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting that they pick up the woodpecker. I'm wondering, like, maybe I'm thinking they can pivot it to the grassland to generate some food. Oh, I mean, look at this.
Oh, there we go. That's what they were looking for. I think that's what Midlife wanted if they'd managed to snatch that barn swallow.
It was just such a interesting turn, like for Ethmah to draw a card. At the end of that round, like they could have easily drawn like nothing useful. So
Well, I think they laid eggs, so they cycled through the Martin.
oh, they cycled through. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because they need. I'm assuming they're going to try and get this red start down, so they would need the eggs anyway because they didn't have any. But yeah, I wonder if they might be looking at that Avaset. I think certainly it's something that Midlife will be looking at. I think once you see your opponent starting to set up a good grasslands like this and obviously knowing that the end of round goals are kind of leaning towards that as well, that might be something that Midlife looks to go for as well.
Yeah. But really, yeah, I mean, this is just exactly what we just talked about. Like, one card can change so many things because,
Yeah.
the great thing about this tuck and draw bird, like, just having 2 birds in your grassland, you already have a 5 points engine. It's just so powerful.
Yeah, I think it's so hard to match, and yeah, you 5 points, but actually only 3 of them are eggs, and that means that you're not going to run out of egg spaces too quickly. You can run that Grasslands engine for a really long time, cycle through lots of cards, and I think just that ability to cycle through, you're going to find those big point birds that you want to be playing. At the same time, you're scoring points, and that starness as well on the Swallow is really going to come in handy for these next 2 end of round goals.
Yeah, it's just such a nice bird. Um, yeah, Midlife, they've been drawing a lot of cards. I mean, like you say, I'm not against, picking up the Avocet here. It's gonna help them, especially for
Yep.
this end of round go, and also, try to counter Ethmah's strong grassland engine for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're going to look to get the Avocet and probably that. I think it's one of the sparrows that the egg laying in the grasslands. I think they kind of need to get that down before they lay eggs again, because they are kind of in that problem of, I need to lay eggs for this end of round goal, but also to play birds. But I'm only getting 2 at a time. You look at your opponent; they're already getting 3 points, and obviously, like we said, that barn swallow is going to bump them up to 5. So yeah, it always feels a bit kind of slow when you are laying eggs and just getting those 2 points. I think you want to be building that up very quickly, but they got a nice re-roll there on the feeder. Means they can get both these birds down pretty quickly, and yeah, that Avocet is certainly going to come in handy. I think once they see this barn swallow go down, especially.
Yeah. So I noticed that Midlife pick up the. Did they pick up the Jungle and the?
They've
What's
got the crane.
The crane.
But not the Junco. I think Ethmah had the Junco.
Oh,
And then either tucked or discarded it.
Okay, I see.
So,
I
yeah.
wonder if Midlife thinking about the crane and the woodpecker combo.
Potentially, it's quite expensive and not huge in terms of point generation.
It is true. Technically, it's like 2 points engine for 2 birds.
Yeah.
And you're not even guaranteed because you have to find that seed from the bird feeder.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a risk with something like the woodpecker. Like you say, you're kind of relying on that bird feeder, and when you find yourself relying on the bird feeder, it tends to disappoint you. So not always worth taking that risk, I feel.
Yep. And yeah, okay, the sparrow is nice.
Yeah, I think they had to play that because they had to lay eggs at some point, not just for the end of round, but to actually get these birds down. So it makes sense to play that so that when you are laying eggs, you are at least getting 3 instead of 2. And they've got Prairie Manager bonus as well, which that's going to help towards, which is nice.
Yeah. I don't think Midlife is like way behind here. If they can get that Golden Eagle down with that Sparrow, that's also more or less a 5 points engine. And then with the Avocet, that would reduce Ethmah engine down by 1 point. So they can yeah.
Yeah, they're certainly not in a bad position. I think it's all going to be down to the card draw for them, just because like you said, they've got some good options in their hand now. The Eagle in particular, big points, works for that next end of round goal as well. But once you kind of get those down, you've then got to gamble on the deck and see what you get. The good thing about what Ethmah's got with these tuck and draws is that it doesn't matter what cards you get from the deck. They're going to be cycling through those in the grasslands, and eventually you'll find some nice birds to work with those.
It's interesting that that's not what I thought Ethmah would do.
Yeah, I can see why they've done it. Just to extend that wetlands out, get that second card draw. And it was a good bonus card pull as well, Falconer for 4 points. But you kind of now force yourself to lay eggs again because they've not got any. So they have to lay eggs before playing the barn swallow. And it's still only that 3 points, whereas like you said before, you could have got 5 points with with that barn swallow down as well.
But the oyster catcher is a really nice pickup, though.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of what you want. You score points, you draw cards, you don't have to spend turns in your wetlands, and then those extra cards you draw, even if they're not very good, you can cycle through those with these tuck and draws. Really nice.
Look at this. Now Ethmah is gonna kick themselves that they did not lay eggs earlier.
Absolutely. But they would have known that Middlife took that because it was in the tray.
Oh,
so
yeah, that's true.
They could have planned around that. They, if they're, that's something I always like to do. Pay attention, see what my opponent's picked up. Okay, they've got the food for it now, and they've got the eggs. They're probably going to play it. I think you have to anticipate that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you're kind of aware of that, that that's probably what your opponent's going to be doing. You can plan around that, and you can lay eggs or get those birds down earlier so that you're not giving your opponents points as this is going to be the case now.
I think Middlife is gonna win this end of round go, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they've already got 3 eggs down.
Yeah.
And obviously they'll get or they've already got 2 and they'll get a third down if Ethmah does choose to lay eggs, and I can't really see them discarding the food, so
yeah, it's not like Ethmah has any option here. Like they gotta lay eggs.
Yeah, I think Middlife knows they're going to be laying eggs. I think the question is for Ethmah, do you discard the food so you at least get 3 and force your opponent to also lay eggs, or do you kind of keep that food and think I've got better use for it? I think discarding here makes sense. That they've not really got anything that needs the fish at the moment, and with a nice forest they can easily get that back.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, it was. Did they pick up that fish? I guess it was for the reroll. Yeah.
It was on the reroll. Yeah. So they got as many worms as they could.
Yeah.
Obviously, ideally they'd have got 3, so they could at least get all of these birds they got down. But yeah, Egret, that's a really nice pull for the Falconer as well. Extra 2 points, and it's going to help for the next end of round. So yeah, I think pretty straightforward. They'll look to get the swallow and the egret down, then you can go for cards and start cycling through.
Yeah. All right, now looking at this, even the third round tray is going to be relevant here for Middlife.
Absolutely.
They really still need something for their grassland here.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they will try and add the eagle that they've already got. They've already got 2 rodents, so it does kind of seem like they have been working towards that and trying to get the rodents whenever they are in the feeder. Really, I don't think any of the other birds in their hand work, and kind of this is where you really struggle if you don't have these kind of tuck and draws, or only 2 birds in the forest. You don't even have the option of discarding, so you're kind of stuck with these birds and you have to try and make them work.
Yeah, looks like they're settled with the woodpecker in the grassland here.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like that. I don't know. It's quite expensive for only 4 points, and they've already got decent enough food generation. So are they going to keep the seeds or are they going to cache them? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, this is like beginning of round 3. I think they can still afford to draw from, draw a card for 1 more turn just to see if you have any better option before you commit to anything.
Yeah. Now, I'm wondering what Ethmah's thinking here, because they were about to play the oyster catcher. But then if you do that, you're kind of committing yourself to having to draw food again before getting the swallow. It's kind of a bit of a risk to play this now. Nice pulls on the cards, though. I think that Mockingbird is kind of straightforward keep. But I don't know. That felt a bit risky because, they clearly need worms. They're looking to get that barn swallow down for sure. And there's 2 there in the feeder. You could have taken those. You are kind of risking it now that what if your opponent goes for food and takes those, and then suddenly you've missed your opportunity, and you might have to overpay a bit to get these birds down.
Yeah, I agree. That was really no risk for picking up the food first, since those are the food that they need. Those cards didn't really help with Middlife here. So
no, I mean, they might look to play the gnatcatcher. It's probably a bit late now. And really they don't need that extra food generation.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of the problem when you get these kind of birds and you have no way of turning them into points or resources, then they're just kind of stuck there and not really doing anything for you.
Yeah, that's why you need to kind of dig. Sometimes
Yeah,
it feel really bad, but it's just part of the game. You need cards. You gotta dig, and
absolutely.
you never know. You might get the card that's game changing here. Um, and yeah, and like you say, I think if they can find like a tuck and
Mm,
draw or a tuck and lay, that's gonna be
yeah,
perfect.
that's the key.
Yeah.
A bit of a unfortunate re-roll there for Ethmah. I think they were really hoping for that cherry so they could get the swallow and the mockingbird down, and suddenly you've got that 6 point grasslands. That's really strong.
Oh yeah.
But I think they can make do, get the swallow down, and look, they've still got extra worms. I think that egret is going to be a smart play. Potentially might help them with this end of round goal as well. But it looks like Midlife's not actually got any of those birds, so they may need to get a move on and try and get this eagle down so that they actually qualify.
Yeah, that's a tricky situation. With no rodent in the bird feeder,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's why I think that woodpecker was a bit soon. They spent
yeah.
a rodent. They spent a rodent for the wild food on that.
Okay, yeah,
When really they could have kept that and yeah, gone for food again and tried to get more, or at least use something else on the reroll. But yeah, at least they are kind of trying to leave the seeds in there so that if they do look to use this woodpecker, that might help them get a little bit of extra food to get this down. But yeah, it's going to be quite expensive, I think, getting this eagle down. So, but they need to do it, otherwise they're not going to get this end of round goal.
yeah. That is a quite a tricky situation that they kind of
Yeah,
put themselves in right now. I mean, basically, if they want to play the golden eagle, they have to pick up food, play, and lay eggs.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, they could lay eggs. Or
and
they,
get a
yeah, they,
seed and then
yeah,
overpay it.
yeah. Well, they could just overpay for it right away now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if they might try and play that
Oh, this is so
again. No,
painful.
this is not going their way. I think for the bird feeder, just kind of desperately re-rolling.
Yeah.
But they need to play it now. Only 2 turns left. You have to play it now so that you can at least give yourself a turn to lay eggs on it.
Also, if you look at this, like basically think about what Midlife accomplished in round three. Basically, it was just playing the woodpecker and the golden
Yeah,
eagle. That is a
yeah.
pretty slow round three here.
It is, and I think round three is kind of so important because it's that build up into the end game. It's when you want to be putting the final touches to your engine. I think like we've seen with what Ethma's been doing. You get the barn swallow down. They've managed to get the cherry now, so they'll look to play that mockingbird and get everything set up so that you can really score big points in that last round.
Yeah.
They've really managed to get the food, get the cards, get the birds down. Really kind of feeling like they've had good tempo and really start to accomplish things. But it does feel a little bit slower from Midlife's perspective at this point. But I think once that eagle does go down, they will at least be able to score points from it. It's going to help with that hunting power as well. But yeah, I don't know what kind of strategy they can show in that last round because I don't think they've got the egg space to just lay eggs for 5 turns. They're going to
Yeah.
have to try and look to get some of these other birds down, but they're not really big point birds. So again, you come back to that question of, do I have to gamble from the deck or just see what I can get and hope for some big point birds?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the end game for Midlife, it's yeah, not as straightforward as Ethmah. Ethmah basically, like you say, they get that mockingbird down, and then they can
Yeah.
basically just lay egg and play whatever bird that they can find or dig. For Midlife, what do you think about say like playing the bird that give you seed and then play the crane?
Potentially, I think they might look to play. I think it's the goldfinch anyway because it does help with the prairie manager, so it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be worth a few more points in that sense. But Yeah, I don't know. It would be a weird bird to play so late in the game, but
But the
I don't know.
alternative is just like
Well,
gambling with the
exactly,
deck.
exactly.
So
They don't have many other alternatives, unfortunately. So
yeah,
they might kind of be stuck there. But yeah, like you said, on Ethma's side, it's fairly straightforward. You play this Mockingbird. They might even just have egg space to lay eggs for the remainder of the game.
yeah, that's what I
And
thought too.
yeah, clean 6 points, easy.
Yeah,
Score lots of points that way. But they've got these extra cards they can start cycling through, and when you're cycling through 3 cards a turn, you're going to give yourself so many chances of finding those nice birds to play. You know, maybe you find a warbler or something like that that's going to give you a bonus card in the forest. I think really they're looking for that forest bird just to get them the extra points from the ecologist bonus card.
yeah. Um, yeah, I totally agree here. The end game is going to be pretty straightforward, and you know, you already mentioned it, but yeah, it's just so nice when you have a 6 point engine, but
Yeah,
only 3 of them are eggs, so you're
exactly.
just it's just so less pressure to make more egg spots here.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's going to get to the point where they start overloading uh, midlife with eggs, because obviously with that Avocet, they're going to get some free eggs, knowing that Ethma's going to be laying a lot of eggs, but they don't really have that many spaces. And you know that grasslands is really the only thing that's scoring them points at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be wanting to spend turns laying eggs, getting points, maybe getting some extra seeds from that woodpecker. But the more times they do that, the less space there is for that Avocet to lay eggs into. So they might find themselves running out of space there.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just so interesting for midlife. Yeah, I think the really turning point here was the round three, um, when they decided to play that woodpecker.
Yeah, yeah, I think I have to agree on that. Because really, it's not been that useful. They've got a couple of seeds from it, but they've mostly, when they needed food, been going back to that forest because, like we said before, you can get 3 food from that, and that is so strong to be able to get some of these big point birds down. Really, that seed gaining power on the woodpecker has not been too strong for them.
Yeah,
And here we go. This is what we're talking about from Ethmah. You know, you cycle through, you draw some cards that you're not interested in. It's fine. You just tuck it and draw another one,
yeah,
and just giving yourself all those chances. That kite is probably going to be one they'll look to play now instead of the egret. Going to help with the ecologist as well. So that's a nice pull. They can now switch in that final round and start
yeah.
tucking the other bird. So that's a good option for them to have.
I wonder if they can play the kite in the grassland to get extra eggs.
Mm,
Um, would that be?
possibly, but they might not need it. This is the point where you start calculating. You start counting up how many egg
Yeah,
spaces you've got. Obviously, that kite is gonna cost an extra egg in the grasslands, and you lose the 2 points that you could gain from the ecologist. So you'd gain points if you lay eggs 4 times, but again, it's whether you the space to fit all of those eggs.
yeah. But they got falconer as well, so
Exactly. Yeah. 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 It's worth. I think it's definitely worth playing the kite. I think this is just where Ethmo needs to think it through and work out where it's best played. I mean, they do still have extra food as well, so at least for a couple of turns, as it is now, they'll be able to discard the food for the extra egg,
yeah,
and that is not a bad option to have.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's definitely pretty strong lead here.
Yeah, I think I'd probably have at least one more turn laying eggs if I'm Ethma. You know, they don't. I don't think they really need to
Decide
rush
on
into it.
anything now. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you want to play the kite in the grasslands, it's better to do it now so that you can make sure you're able to get those extra eggs.
yeah,
And yeah, I don't know. They might be okay on egg space if they do that because, like we said, big points engine, but actually not many of them are eggs. So you kind of limit your risk of filling up on eggs and kind of stalling that engine.
yeah. Let's just check. Is it at my thinking or is it a
I
time
think it's
bug?
Ethma thinking. It's
Okay,
not it's not time bugged yet. They are
okay.
just. I think it was the round 4 calculation.
Yeah,
I get I get X points for doing this sequence of moves, and I get Y points for doing this sequence of moves. Which is better? This is kind of so key when you get into this round 4 in particular. there's so many different kind of avenues for you to go down, and being able to work through those and think about what you're going to do is so important to be able to maximize your score.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was a good point in the chat as well about
Yeah.
the end of round goal. So you want to be getting as many eggs in your forest for this end of round goal. At the moment, Ethmah's capped out at 4, whereas Middlife can get to 5. So if the kite can go in the forest and give that 1 extra space, that's going to be worth a few extra points for tying the end of round goal. So yeah, I think that's a good point to bring up in the chat, and probably for me would make me lean towards playing in that forest, just for the extra points on the bonus card as well.
Yeah. Well, I thought Ethmah was committed, but it looks like they're
changing their mind a lot.
Yeah,
I think this is the right move.
I think with all things considered, I think this might be the right one. I think they're probably thinking like, oh, there's no dice in the, like, there's 4 dice off the feeder now, so you can potentially make a few points. Like, I want to say 1 or 2, so that's kind of enticing.
This is where I'd be looking at my opponent, and you see they've got that woodpecker, and you're pretty certain that's going to get re-rolled the next time they lay eggs. So I wouldn't be counting on that bird feeder staying as it is. But yeah, I think that's the right move. Like I say, potentially I might have looked to lay eggs first, just because maybe you find one of those double birds. You get a vireo or something like that to get the double play, and then you win that end of round goal.
Yeah.
So maybe it's going to be kind of one of those positions where you commit and play it, and then you're going to draw that bird that you were looking for. So
yeah,
I don't mind that. I think the forest certainly was the right play for me.
Right. Yeah. I think that the thing about Ethmah here, even if they draw a double bird, they can't really play it because they need the cards for tugging. So
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I think it's pretty straightforward. They've got that extra food they can look to discard. Like you said, you start cycling through. It doesn't really matter what they draw here.
Yeah.
I think even if they draw a big point bird, it's not going to be worth playing. That kind of 6 or 7 points discarding the food from that grasslands is going to be so hard to match from any bird that they could play that meets the food they've already got.
Right.
All right, so it looks like Middlife is kind of going for what you were suggesting. So you get the goldfinch down, get those extra seeds, and play the crane.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I think it's a little bit kind of, obviously the goldfinch is nice to the bonus card, gets a few extra points. It is going to be a good point scoring engine, but I do worry about how much they can activate it. We've still got 3 turns left. They get 5 eggs every time they lay eggs, and they've only got 11 spaces.
Yeah.
So that's only 2 activations before you run out. And that's kind of not even taking into account all these free eggs you're going to be getting from the Avocet.
Yeah.
So yeah, might be running out of space here, and kind of wishing they could do something else, but you're not going to look to play that Nat Catcher. That is not going to be worth it for the points.
I think that's a little bit unfortunate here. I mean, I think the goldfinch and crane play here is obviously a compromise, because the alternative is that you have to go back to the wetland and you have to gamble with the draw. So at least like every move that they made up to this point, they are slowly making some points. So I can see why they opt for this.
Yeah, I think it in a situation like that, it's all about how comfortable you feel with taking that gamble. Because like you said, obviously they could have gone from the deck. Maybe you get a nice big point bird that you can play, easily get the food for that. I think it was the certainty. So they know if I play the goldfinch and the crane, I know this is how many points I'm going to get, because I'll have this many egg spaces and I can get this many tucks. Yeah. So if you're comfortable and you're happy with that number of points, then go for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a bit of a problem here where they know now, okay, I'm going to lay eggs here and already fill up, and I still have another turn left where I'm going to be looking to lay eggs.
Yeah. But how do you feel about drawing cards in round 4? I mean, in my experience, I feel like my game, like, it's actually like a sign that my game is not going well if I have to draw a card in round 4.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's one of those where, like I was saying before, you get into that end game where you want to have everything set up so that you can just run through the grasslands or play blue point birds in that last round. You don't really want to be scrambling to try and find points in that last round.
Yeah.
And it does kind of feel like, I think, if there's a bird in the tray that works, I might look to take it. I might look to
Right.
spend that turn drawing cards, but only if I can then actually turn those into points.
Yep. And Wingspan is always very cruel when it comes to RNG,
Absolutely.
that just like so many game where it's like I really just need that big points bird to turn my game around, and then you just
Yeah.
draw like 3 or 4 birds that's less than 4 points.
It always seems to be the way.
Yeah, always seems to be the case.
What do you make of that last move from Midlife? I know I said, oh, they've got the Nat Catcher, they'll never look to play that.
Yeah.
And then they played it.
I mean, I don't. I think it might be a net 0 point. Like it might be
Yeah,
worse than if they just lay
I
eight.
think
Yeah.
I think it's a negative points because it was basically 0 points playing that.
Yep.
They'll get 3 extra points from winning the end of round, but now when they lay eggs, they don't have the seed, so they can't
Yeah.
even tuck birds under the crane. So that's cost them so many points.
Yeah.
I think even if they'd had to lay eggs on that last turn and not got any eggs from it, they still would have got more points there. That golden eagle has been so disappointing. I think it's only been like one success from 3 or 4 tries. Really unfortunate there, but
Again, when you need those hunt to turn your games
yeah,
around, they never deliver.
that's Wingspan for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like this is going to be Ethmah's.
Yeah, I feel like a pretty comfortable win for Ethmah
They're
here.
gonna have a lot of eggs and a lot of tuck cards, and that's gonna, I feel, bring them over the line here.
Yep. Well, look
And
at
there we go.
this.
Relatively close,
Yep.
less than 10 points. So
Good
yeah,
game.
certainly not too different between the two scores. Fairly close. So yeah, definitely a good game.
Yeah, I mean, this series is gonna be best of 5. So Midlife very much still have a good chance to win it back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's kind of the beauty of this tournament, is that if you lose one game, it's not the end of the world. I think even in best of 3, if you lose game 1, you give yourself a mountain to climb. Okay, I need to win 2 in a row.
Yep.
But best of 5, you've still got plenty of time. It's absolutely not putting yourself in a position where you feel like you're down and out.
Yeah. All right. If someone can DM the player to ask them to go ahead with game 2, we're gonna jump right in.
Yep, and I think we're having a change of commentary team as well. So I think Grovenstein is going to be jumping in for game 2.
Yeah. Well, pleasure to have you, Flan. I think you're gonna
No
be back for
worries.
game 3 or something. So we'll
I think that's the
hear
plan.
from you soon.
All right.
Okay. I'll take this moment to take the commentator monologuing box for the bingo.
I'm just sitting here. I couldn't wait any longer. Like I was just sitting here. I was like, is Tay waiting for me? Should I just kind of let him twist in the wind? I don't.
Thank you for saving me here.
Yeah. Then I remembered how horrible it was when I had to do a monologue. Not just for me, but for everybody who had the misfortune of listening to that auditory dumpster fire. So.
Well, now that you're here, tell us, what do you think about the game that just happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good match. I mean, ultimately, in the end, we see, the power of those tuck and draw birds. I mean, that's something that you hear a lot about the how strong the tuck and draw birds are in base, and ultimately, Ethmah was able to capitalize on the martin and the swallow there. Doesn't have nearly as good of a start here, however.
Yeah, this is a very difficult start. I mean, they still got the falconer, so that's good, but no obvious choice for wetland or forest here.
No, and I mean the thing is, they're it's like the falconer's great, but you can see that it's going to take a lot of a lot of rodents with what they have, and of course, anytime at the beginning, you want to have birds that require a diversity of food, not all the same thing. And in fact, there's no rodents in the tray either. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
can't tell you
so
how many times that happens. It's always like, oh, I just need that cherry. Nope, that's no cherry. I just need that fish. Nope, that's no fish. It's just the combo of having really bad hand already, and then the bird feeder just screw you over.
yeah, I mean, and if I'm Ethma, I actually like keeping all the food. Grab no, but check it out. You keep all the food. You grab the ibis, which with the falconer is a 10-point bird, and it's gonna at least get you a wetland bird.
Yeah,
There's several grub in the tray, so I think maybe you take the ibis, you take a grub, you play the ibis, you lay eggs, and then you got some turns to draw something better than the ibis.
hey, look at this sapsucker making a second appearance here.
Sapsucker is such a great starting bird, man.
Yeah,
It really is. Costs 2 different food, gets you a grub from the supply instead of the feeder, and of course grubs are so useful just because they go towards a lot of birds need them.
yeah,
So I love that bird to start, but no good wetland
yeah. No,
option.
I guess like again, pretty equal start here. I guess like it's slightly better for midlife because of the sapsucker. At least they get their force down. And yeah, I'm not hating the puffin pickup here. Um, Actually, let me do the calculation. No, it's not gonna work. But you know that there are 2 fishes in the feeder, so they can potentially get that puffin down um, without much struggle.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they could think about is the sapsucker and the puffin, right? And they keep the cherry and the grub and the fish, and
Mm-hmm.
then take food twice.
Yeah.
If they assume the 2 fish would still be there, which given that Ethma kept 5 food and no cards is a pretty safe assumption.
Yeah.
Then they get the puffin down and they can start drawing cards, and they've got two grubs in their hand,
Yep.
from the sapsucker. So
Yeah. Oh,
and
look
the
at this.
spoonbill, they just keep flooding with these expensive wetland birds.
That's the trade for you sometime. Yeah. I think that's a good point. When you see your opponent, you know, already starting kind of slow with 5 food, um, even picking up food twice to play the puffin doesn't feel that bad. Like, it's still better than your opponent tempo here.
Yeah, and it's always, one of the points that you guys made in the last game, at one point, which is a good one, which is it all depends on your alternatives,
Yeah.
right? It's not just, you can't just say, you know, the puffin is too expensive early. Well, if it's the best of what you got, like, what are your other options, right? They at Midlife didn't have other good wetland birds. Okay, well, you look at the crane. Well, the only difference between the puffin and the crane is the type of food it requires, but they're going to be able to get the fish, and the crane's 2 fewer points and whatever. So it's like you you know it always depends on your alternatives. And here, I think that you know uh you've got their alternatives. The alternatives for both players haven't been all that good.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, if you look at this, if you just calculate like raw points, like it takes 3 turns for Ethmah to play that Ibis, so that's like average 3 points per turn. Um, and look
Mhm.
like Midlife just pick up what's that, the Ecologist?
Yeah, yeah. So that should be good for at least 4 and maybe
Yeah,
6.
4 or 6. So we're talking about like, yeah, it just, yeah, the point is just much better for Midlife here, with that Puffin and Sapsucker starting.
Yeah, and Midlife is in such good shape for they're very likely to win the second end of round, even though it does look like they're gonna lose the first. But at least So you can always, like, anytime you know you're gonna maybe lose one end around, but you're looking good for another, you can kind of relax a little bit. And uh, that canvas back, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's
They really need a forest bird here, so
yeah. Oh God.
come on. This
Oh,
I mean, yeah, this is exactly what happened. Like, oh,
it's
that's
pain.
it's pain. I mean, okay, thinking back about yeah, it's just that the missing one row then just screw things up. Because thinking back about like Ethmah starting hand, if that's a
Mhm.
rodent, I think like starting with a rodent and having that house rent is not bad. Say if you draw a forest card, then you can double play and set up your forest quickly. But now
Mhm.
it's like they have two more or less useless card. You can kind of argue that canvas back might have some use, and they're committing all their food here is a very very risky, very
Yeah, I mean,
very
they'll be
risky
left
play.
with the cherry, so it's like, uh, they basically, they really need something like a hummingbird, because of course, uh, there's no single cherry, there's no. I'll get this point out eventually, Terry. I'm just gonna like vomit the words all over myself. Apparently, no, there's no bird that only takes one cherry, right?
Yeah,
Unless it's just a single food bird, like that takes wild, like the hummingbird or the crow or
yeah,
whatever. Um, so I mean, I don't want to say I like the canvas back for Ethma, but I mean, it's they. I see where they're coming from, because they just want to see more cards. Unfortunately, the power for the canvas back is that it gives cards to both players, and of course, Midlife would love extra cards because they have a forest that is going to allow them to get 2 food per turn. So,
yeah.
uh,
That opportunity cost is huge here. Um, like you say, it's clearly that Midlife doesn't have a good wetland going, so extra cards coupled with that forest, it's just gonna amplify the value of the extra card.
yeah, for sure. And I think the titmouse is a nice pull for Midlife, because then they'll be able to play it easily. Um, and then they're getting 3 food plus a point every time they go to their forest. So that's, and with the extra cards that they'll be getting, they'll be able to get some birds down for sure.
Yeah, I'm I mean I quite like what Midlife is doing here is very slow and steady, but it works. Like they got the crane, they got the titmouse that they can play in the forest. It seems slow, definitely not like the kind of start you want, but it's effective. You're gaining a lot of points, uh, slowly. So
Yeah, yeah. And when, again, we were talking earlier about all, it's like, what's the alternative, right? Well, of course, along a similar line, it's like, what your goal is to, in the end, ultimately, is to have more points than your opponent. So it's
mm-hmm.
like, if you have 80 points and your opponent has 70, then you win, even though an 80-point game may or may not be a good game, depending on what you get. And sometimes, tactically, right, if you're maybe giving yourself fewer resources, but also giving your opponent fewer resources, that may be more conducive to a low scoring game as well. But who cares if you win?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so ultimately, I think uh, Midlife is in a really strong position here.
Yeah. I guess like what I've seen is that, I mean, there's definitely how a school, like, I don't know, a style of playing where people really spend that first round digging for cards until they
Hmm.
find something that's good. I guess it's always a right balance. Like, you either go all in digging, or you settle with what you have,
Now,
or
see here, hey, I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump in on you here, because there's a spot where, so notice Midlife went to get food,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they're thinking, okay, I want to get the Merganser down, and so I want to get the food. But Midlife had 3 grub and a wheat,
Mm-hmm.
so they could have just forced the Merganser in, and that's, of course, you don't want to like force force a bird down typically if you can avoid it, but he can easily get food.
Mm-hmm.
And by getting that Merganser down before the round flips, and you're going to get first shot at the tray. Now,
Yeah.
see, he just had to waste, or he just got far fewer cards than he could have, based on not having the Merganser down. So I think that was a bit of a misstep. I would have shoved that in there.
Yeah. I guess, another thing is that maybe they were also counting on their opponent activating the canvas back, so they're a little bit less concerned about the card. And I guess the fish kind of work out for them because now they have the fish crow, so the fish is super handy now. So yeah, Midlife basically have a lot of options here.
Sure. Oh yeah, and that fish crow is a great pickup, and I think we and Flan about had a heart attack when that bird. When you initially click the habitat and it's in the wrong habitat, we're like, no, please do not put that in the forest ever. It's like, granted, it wasn't the indigo bunting, so maybe Flan didn't have a heart attack, but
yeah, I mean, we need to talk about Ethmah here. They're really struggling. I mean, the past few draw has just been not great. I think they're looking into playing the cross build here, but they still need to spend 2 turns picking up 2 grain. So
yeah, I think if I'm right, Tay, I think that second card from the right is the Northern Cardinal, which he's got the food for.
oh, okay, that's
That's
better.
yeah, and that's a card too that of course is going to give you that extra cherry every time, which would be helpful for getting that catbird down. Although the where are you going to put the catbird, right? Like the catbird is you don't really want to put that in the forest, and you don't really have anything competing in the grassland right now. You don't have anything in the grassland.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least the Cardinal's going to let him get 2 pieces of food, and actually 3 once they get rid of that god awful Merganser. So the poor Merganser, like the Merganser just has no friends. I mean, I feel like the Merganser gets bullied, and
I think their friends are coming, in the future expansion. I mean, even then, I'm not sure. I've seen some posts about how you can couple with some good predator from maybe like the Oceania expansion that can make it work, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't watched all 87 of your shorts on the European expansion either.
What?
So
Why are you on here then?
Yeah, I don't know. I must have like compromat on somebody. Like I'm certainly not on here because I watch all of you and Flan's videos.
Oh well, I forgive you since you're giving good commentary here.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but thanks for the trying to build me up. Okay, that's you're a builder. You build people up.
I try.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So basically, Ethmah now is their game is like big point birds. They have the double play in the grassland. They have king rail, and I think you gotta pick up the quill here, right? If you're a Midlife.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Yeah, you're gonna need anytime you got a bird like the crow or raven or whatever, any type of bird that is gonna consume eggs in your grassland. The most help that you can give it, the better. So yeah, that quail is kind of mandatory right now.
All right, here's the thing I want to ask.
Oh no.
I think the horn lark is a good play here. But I wonder if Midlife is gonna realize that.
Yeah, I mean, it you've already got the food for it. You know you're probably gonna get 3 or 4 tucks out of it. It's and plus what you can do is you play the lark. You know, you lay eggs and get a seed, and then then you can get the quail down. I think the lark is definitely a decent option here.
Yeah, I think it's actually a very good option here. Even better than the quill, at least in the short term, because the quill is a 0 point. With the lark, you get 5 points to begin with, and you're almost guaranteed gonna get a few tugs, and you already have cards that you don't want to play. It's a good play here. I want to point that
Yeah,
out because I think that's the thing about the horn lark. Like, because it gets such a bad reputation, a lot of people, just miss it when it's a good play.
yeah. Well, part I think it's bad reputation in part because some clowns called it an F tier bird, and now you know what people don't realize or don't keep in mind. You're talking about at the beginning of the game. That where people defame the lark, right? They say, okay, it's this is an F tier bird at the beginning, but yeah, it's kidding aside, like this is we all know this is a situational game, right? I mean, I posted uh sometime in the last few weeks, I had a game where I played the Inca Dove for like 13 points. uh so just you have so many bacon nests, as Elsie calls them,
Bacon.
and yeah, and it's like and it helps you with the end of round, and it meets your bonus cards and stuff. Like, so it's always a situational game, and here the situation for the reasons that we've laid out. I think the lark is a good play. It looks like
Okay, now of all the options, we got a curveball here. We got the titmouse play. I
yeah.
mean, I would understand if they need the titmouse to win end of round go, but they're already winning, I guess. They didn't.
Yeah, I mean, well, I do this sometimes though, and where you kind of have to take a guess as to whether you figure, okay, if my opponent is going to play another bird with one of these nests and end up tying the EOR, right? Uh, is that something that I need to address now, which they do, because if they didn't play the bird, they can't lay eggs. And so at least now, uh, okay, they can't use the egg on food, but at least this is still a 5 point turn where they're getting 2 points from the eggs, and they're getting 3 points by tying the EOR. So but sometimes you just kind of have to guess.
Yeah.
Right? You have to say, okay, maybe I'm ahead right now, but is this going to be enough? And so Midlife got 3 points from playing the titmouse, and then 5 points for laying the egg. So it's not the worst.
I think it's not the worst. I mean, personally, I think it's a little bit like short term, I guess.
Well, yeah, it's a play that you're making entirely to win the EOR.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not gonna. I mean, you're gonna go back there once or twice, right? So
Yeah.
So you'll get an extra point or two.
Yeah.
From the titmouse, but
and Ethmah just had a game-changing draw there with the purple martin again, and they also got the chipping sparrow. So suddenly now they're looking at a very strong forest again.
yeah,
Grassland,
yeah.
I must say. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. But then now from Midlife's perspective, that at least again, the Avocet, they've got one of those pink egg layers like they did in the previous game to kind of help counter that a bit.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference. I mean, the saving grace for Midlife here is there's a big difference between a Martin with 10 turns to go, or even fewer than that if Ethmah's going to put the Sparrow down, and and a Martin much earlier in the game.
Yeah.
It's limited in terms of the amount of damage that it can do.
Yeah. It's interesting. I guess I almost wanted to play that Sparrow in the grassland, but they might run into egg problems. But they do have very healthy amount of egg spots.
They got a ton of egg spots, and the thing is that okay, so maybe they're thinking they can get 3 food now, but I don't think they're going to be spending too much time in the forest. And I think since they're going to do another card draw at some point, like you can, but you're not going to be able to play all those cards. Like you could get rid of 1 or 2 of them if you need some extra food. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah. If I were playing this, I probably wouldn't count on picking up more cards. I mean, looking at this, like I feel like even the Lazuli Bunting is good for Ethmah here, because they have quite a bit of nests, like bow nests and also egg spots. So I'm thinking like if you play the Purple Martin and Lazuli Bunting, and maybe even get the King Reel down, that's like enough egg spots, and you have 1 card left over for tugging. That's pretty much end game there.
Yeah, that's 7 food, Tay.
Yeah.
That's the thing. For those 3 birds is 7 food. He can only get 3 at a time. So that's going to be, that's 3 trips to the feeder, and then 3 turns to get those birds down, plus 1 turn drawing to get the bunting. Or I guess not, if he plays the Martin, he could get the bunting that way. So yeah, maybe that does end up making sense if he's got the egg space for it. But I'm not sure. That's one where in the moment I would have to be like I might take a little bit more time on thinking that out.
Yeah. I just it's just crazy how quickly this game just turned around, because once Ethmah built that up, they're looking at a 5 or 6 point engine, and on the other hand, Midlife it's not even an engine here. It's just basically 3 eggs, and you have to spend 1 getting food. The end game, like Ethmah is gonna snowball really quickly.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're seeing the the effect of that titmouse play maybe being a mistake, because you got you spent those 2 food, and with the crow, like you're only able to to generate the 1 food at a time. So I think in hindsight, and that's always a tough call to make in the moment. Like, do I want to sacrifice? Like, if I know I'm going to lose an EOR, or I might lose an EOR? I mean, you don't want to give away points ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like you got to decide: do I want to sacrifice these 3 points? But then sometimes you gotta look.
Yeah.
Look towards the end. It's like, okay, if you do that, well, what's your end look like? Because as you say, they don't really have an engine.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of Wingspan. Like, if you look at this game, you think like there are so many variables. You have so many birds. You have so many different goals, different way you can play it. But I just had so many games where like I lost a close game, I can like very exactly pinpoint like where that one move that was suboptimum that really determined the game. Like it really comes down to one move, like one turn, like a lot of time.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's why it's such a beautifully designed game, as you know we were saying, because yeah, it's like there's only 4 basic actions that you can take, but there's just all of this kind of different strategy in terms of situations and different birds that all have their little tweaks and stuff, except for there's a couple birds that are exactly the same as each other for all practical purposes. And I have the pointing Spider-Man meme running in my head right now, but yeah. So yeah, I think engine wise, I mean, Ethmah certainly in a better position here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're Middlife, what's your plan? How are we looking on this EOR, by the way? It looks like Ethmah's probably going to get that one.
Yeah, if they try here, I think Ethmah can easily win this one. I mean, yeah, yeah, Wingspan, never stopped to amaze me. It's just so interesting. Like within the same round, like I think the quill would have made sense like at the beginning of the round, but just a few turns later, now suddenly it's like it just feels so bad if Middlife is considering playing that scale quill here.
Well, yeah, you've only got 6 turns left after this.
Yeah, but if they play earlier, like it at least gets something going for their grassland. It's just their grassland just looks so bad now.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with the brown powers, and there's a certain man from the UK I've spoken with about making a video about powers, and maybe one day we'll get around to doing it. And that's not a rip on him, that's a rip on me. But no, the thing with brown powers, right, is that there's like a time sensitive nature to them, whereas like say the when played powers, they're not time sensitive because they only happen one time. But with the quail, it's like, yeah, every turn that goes by that the quail isn't down and you're not activating it, it really starts to lose its value.
Yeah, I must say, like it was really sharp for Ethmah to pick up that bunting there, but I think they almost calculated everything here. Like they spent that cherry because they know that they can gain a cherry from their cardinal when they pick up food, and they have to spend it now because otherwise once they play the bunting they cannot convert that food into eggs. So that's a just
that's
all
that's
around
a really
very good
nice
play there.
Yeah, that's something that I've started paying more attention to, is that you've always got to be looking at towards the end of the game when the food, it's like once you play that 4th grassland bird, if you're not going to be playing a 5th, then you're just going to end up with food that's just sitting there not gaining you any points. So yeah, I agree. That's a strong move by.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just impressed by the attention to details and small nuances here. Very impressive.
Yeah. I mean, these are both strong players, both tournament winners. But yeah, Ethmah's really been killing it lately.
Yeah. Especially with that handle, I feel like a lot of players will fall into the trap of like trying to get that king reel down, because thinking that you get you get a bonus card or whatever. I mean, this might be a controversial take, but
Uh-oh.
I think I've seen that I think some people overvalue the king reel for late game. Reason being, I don't like it late game because you're spending 3 food for 4 points and you're gambling on a bonus card. I think it's a bigger gamble than other bonus card bird. That's my take.
Well, it's it's actually it's when you're talking about late game in particular, right? It's never going to be 4 points, right? It's only going to be 3 or maybe 2, depending on how far out your wetland is.
Yeah.
So yeah, at late game, no, I don't think that's controversial. I mean, I think it certainly has its uses late game, and particularly if it's a situation where you have like an omnivore bonus card or fish bonus card or wetland scientist or whatever, or maybe there's the last end of round is birds and wetlands or something. I mean, it'll have its spots, but yeah, late game. I mean, I think late game you really have to have any 4-point bird, even whether it gives you a bonus card or not. Like any 4-point bird is gonna have a strong kind of disadvantage late game, unless it's something that is either maybe it's one of the birds that, like the bobolink, that's going to just lay a bunch of eggs for you, get points that way, or it's something that is going to you get a few extra points from EOR or a few extra points from a bonus card or something.
Yeah.
I
think totally agree. And looks like Ethmah endgame is pretty straightforward here. I'm not counting the egg space, but are we looking at just play the bunting and lay eggs for 3 times? That's pretty much it.
Yeah, so the bunting's got what, 3, is it 3 or 4 spots on it?
4.
4,
yeah.
4, okay. So yeah, so he's looking at going to be 30 spots and 21 of them open, and you'll be getting 6 points per, or 6 eggs per. So yeah, plenty of space there.
Yeah, that just such a good. Oh, we spoke too soon. We certainly spoke too soon. Slap in my face.
Yeah.
Let's see if this is a good gamble. Ooh. Oh, that's actually hurts. That actually hurts. Because they're missing 1 bird.
Yeah.
That actually hurts. I
That's
mean,
wild.
Oh, that actually hurts. I mean,
actually, he might have been better off. Might be better off, and that's probably what he's looking at, taking the breeding manager. Yeah, because he's already got.
They have
2
3
birds.
3 points. Take it.
Yeah, well, he's already got the burrowing owl and the
actually
the
4
canvasback.
points. Yep.
Yeah, already have 3 eggs on them.
They can get 4 points. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That. I mean. Again, I'm not looking at this closely. Do they need the king reel to win the last end of round goals?
Well, they've already got 2. They've already got 10 spots.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So what was that? The king reel was like 7 points play. Like 4 plus 4, so 7 points play. I have a strong feeling if they play the bunting and lay eggs 3 times, they would have gotten more points, because like 3 turns they're getting 3 extra eggs, and they're just getting so many extra eggs. I'm not even gonna count it.
well, it's not. No, so the bunting is it's a 2-point play.
Yeah.
Right, and then you're getting 6 eggs plus, but it's and keep in mind too that Middlife only has 1 bull nest space. It's that puffin.
Oh wow, yeah, that's exactly true. That's
so that's even more reason to play the bunting, right? Because you get the 2. Okay, so 2 points, and then you get 6 eggs, and it might, it'll be either 5 or 6 net, right?
Yeah.
And then a tuck from the marten, and then maybe a point from the versus the rail. So you're looking at like 20 some points
Yeah.
from putting the bunting down
That's
versus now you've only got one food to spend on an extra egg, so you cost yourself 2 eggs that way.
yeah.
I think that rail might have been a misstep by
Yeah.
Ethmah.
I think that was a huge missed opportunity, especially you point out that, Midlight only have one star nest there. Like, you're talking about the bunting suddenly become a two points engine bird. Like, it's just so good. And this is gonna snowball here. I guess I don't see how they pick the Ulogis here when they can obviously score 4 points with the breeding manager.
I think it might be even. Let me see, because they're gonna get 10 more eggs, right? 4, and then 3 and 3, I think. So, because I think that counter, yeah, that counter should say 3. So they're gonna get 10 more eggs, I guess, so they can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, yeah, so it's 4 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And with 4 points, and I really hope they don't fall into the trap of trying to play one more bird to get that Ulogis. That would totally be a loss here.
Oh yeah, I mean that's only going to get you, you know,
Three
3 extra
additional
points.
points.
But yeah, but the cost of, I mean, you're only getting 1 point by going to your forest there with that chipping sparrow. So yeah, I think I think Ethma was in a strong position going to the end, but I think we've seen a couple pretty big gaffes here.
Yeah. A few missed opportunity here. I wonder if Midlife can bring it back close with what they're planning for the end game. With it, kind of focus a little bit more on Ethmah for a while. So look at Midlife here. They have one bonus card here. They also have the wetland crane, the whooping crane. So that's another bonus card. Yeah, I don't know. That they might be able to bring it back close.
Yeah, I mean they got some yeah, there's who does the pup think? Who's the pup saying?
I know. Even my pup disagree or agree.
We need. It's like Puppy Bowl. We need a prediction from the dog on who's going to win.
So, okay. Oh wow. Yeah, Ethmah is going for a forest here. I'm looking at the chat. Chat say is actually worth it to play that bunting. I mean, I didn't make the fine calculation, but looks like it's worth it according to Winging It, and I do trust Flan on their math because they make a whole series about it. So,
well, let's see. They get 1 point, and then they get 2 points, and then they get. Oh yeah, because with the eulogist, then they get an extra point there. And, okay, yeah. I all right, I could see it.
All right, how's the bonus card here? They got 2 points for the omnivore, and yep. Looks like, do they have another fish one? No, unfortunately not another fish bonus card here.
No, and they're one shy on food to play the crane, or they could have kept the omnivore.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. What? I'm so confused. What's this play about? Is that bonus card? Okay, so Falconer. Okay. We need some some backup from chat. Is that a better play than the bunting here? This is a lot of curveball for the late game here.
Well, yeah, because they can still
exchange.
It's like their own. they can still exchange the food um
I think it might be
and
close. Yeah.
yeah, and meet the oologist. And oh, now you got me saying oologist. I even looked it up. They say oologist, but you
It's not
guys,
a real word, so it doesn't matter.
that's true. Yeah, the
The
oologist.
oologist.
Yeah,
I don't think the points from the bunting is guaranteed for midlife though, because look at them. They already fill up their starness. So actually playing the bunting might score them a little bit more points. But why are their points so low? I'm a little bit worried. I just got
yeah.
a
Well,
sneak peek. The points was really low.
yeah. Well, it's because they got, all they have is that, that ibis. Otherwise, it's kind of some more midpoint birds. They've been, kind of going back and forth on OR.
Oh, look at this. We got a sneak peek there. Ethmah got this with 80 some points. Very good game. Good one, good one.
Wow.
Well play. Yeah, that was some like very fine counting at the end there. And yeah, it's very close.
Crazy.
And good game to both. I think, given the 7 points difference, yeah, I think Midlife could have had a very good chance here as well. It's just unfortunate that, Ethmah pick up all the good birds that really turn the games around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
just to show you the beauty of Wingspan, do you remember how Ethmah started the game?
yeah, 5 food.
Yeah,
I remember that. That was like the one prediction that I actually got right. Was that Ethmah would take take the ibis and
Yeah.
all that. Yeah.
and it all got turned around, like, with the tray and taking calculated risks with different plays. So yeah, that was a very, very good showing.
No doubt.
All right, again, this is best of 5. It's a little bit more pressure now on Midlife to they will have to win 3 games in a row to bring this back, but that's a good, there's still a good chance there.
Okay, yeah, and I
And
think we might be taking a break.
yeah, I think they might be pausing here. So, well, with that being said, I guess we can. Do you have any final thoughts, Groove?
My final thought is that Wingin It has the best name for a bonus card that I've heard, which is the ooh, look at thisologist.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my thoughts. No, when these guys are able to resume, I think, again, whether we're going to be looking at some strong games.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as always a pleasure to have you commentating. And also thank you to Flan from Winging It. If you haven't, please check out videos from their channel. There's a lot of tutorial and, mathematics stuff. So if you're into that, head over there. And as always, thanks for joining the live stream. Stay tuned. We'll probably have more in the near future. And yeah, thanks for watching.